Hi students, welcome to session 4 of Form and Movement in Animals. In today's session, we will learn about movement in snakes and movement in birds. We have been through movement in fish, movement in snail, cockroach and earthworm, and we also discussed about the introduction to movement in animals. So now let us start with today's session. I welcome you to Learner's Planet. Let us start with movement in snakes. Yes, snakes do not have limbs. Means they neither have legs, arms nor wings. They move by crawling on their bellies, and they have scales which cover their bodies and help them to crawl. So this is a beautiful picture of a snake. Now you will be very amazed to know that snakes are carnivores. Means they eat small animals including lizards and other snakes too. Even they can eat rodents and other small mammals, birds, eggs or insects. So basically they are carnivores. Even the skin of snake is covered with scales and it is very smooth and dry textured. Some snakes have a very venomous bite. We all know that they have venomous bite which they use to kill their prey before eating it. Like other snakes kill their prey by striking at its prey and holds on, pulling the prey into its coils, or in the case of very large prey, pulling itself onto the prey. Still other snakes are there which swallow their prey whole and alive. Oh, how amazing. And snakes shed their skin periodically for growing purpose and also for removing external parasites which are present on their body. So if there is not enough humidity in the air while snakes are shedding their skin, it can be very dangerous for the snake because the dry skin does not shed. So skin that remains attached to the snake can harbor diseases and even parasites. Even the snake has a tail tip that is not removed and can constrict as the snake grows, cutting off the blood supply to the end of the tail, causing it to drop off. So this is about the snakes. Amazing creatures. Now let us discuss about their movement. How does the movement takes place in snakes? Yes, most snakes move in a wave-like manner. Like their flexible backbones, as we know that they are vertebrates, so they have flexible backbones. They help them in this movement because their body curves like a wave, and the wave-like motion pushes the body forward by pressing against the ground. So here you can see a glimpse of a snake which crawl on their bellies and they move in a wave-like manner. So here I'll explain you the wave-like motion which pushes the snake's body forward. Now here you can consider some boxes. I'll draw it for you. Here I'll draw some boxes for you. Now consider these as the steps on which the snake will crawl. Right. Now here just consider that there is a snake. This is a snake. Right? A snake. And just assume it's wave-like motion. It moves like this. just like this. You can consider these points, you can take these points, and this is what is the wave-like motion of a snake which takes place, and it moves forward like this. So in this way the movement of snake takes place, wave-like motion which pushes the snake's body forward. Right? So this is about the movement of snake. Now basically snakes have 4 ways of moving around. Since they don't have legs, they use their muscles and their scales to do the walking. So there are very different ways. Like one way is when snakes bunch themselves up and then they move themselves forward. Another motion is what most people think of when they think of snakes. Like snakes will push off on any bump or any other surface, rocks, trees, etc. to get going, and they move in a wavy motion. They wouldn't be able to move over slick surfaces like glass at all because they have a wavy motion. There is one more motion which is a very difficult motion to describe, but it is often used by snakes to move on loose or slippery surfaces like sand or mud. So snakes can move on sand or mud. Like snakes, a snake appears to throw its head forward, to move its head forward, and the rest of its body follows while the head is moved forward again. Even there is one more way, which is a very slow, creeping, straight movement of the snake. The snake uses some of the white scales on its belly. The snakes uses some of the white scales on its belly to grip the ground while pushing forward with the others. So this is what is one way by which the movement in snake takes place. Right? So this is the way by which the snakes move. Now there are some facts about snakes which I would like to share it with you. Yes, as we discussed that snakes are carnivores, means they eat small animals including lizards and other snakes, rodents and other small mammals, and they also use specialized belly scales to travel gripping surfaces. Even snakes shed their skin periodically, and snakes have remarkable vision. Means what type of vision do they have? Yes, it is able to detect the movement. Their sense of hearing is most sensitive of frequencies around 200 to 300 Hertz. So you can just imagine that how amazing sense of hearing they have. The other fact about the snake is about the venom. This venom of the king cobra, the world's largest poisonous snake, is strong enough to kill an elephant. So you can just think how frightening it is, how poisonous snake it is. It is thought that snakes evolved from lizards because they have a very low metabolic rate and thus can survive it without eating for many days at a stretch. You know, snakes don't have eyelids too. Snakes don't have eyelids. Snakes can't even bite food, so they have to swallow it whole. So snakes have even flexible jaws which allow them to eat prey which is bigger than their head. So they cannot bite food, but they have this bigger head to swallow their prey. Even snakes are found on every continent of the world except Antarctica region. And snakes have internal ears but not external ones. Now we can't see the snake's ears, but they have the internal ones. Snakes used in snake charming performances are respond to movement, not sound. They only respond to the movement. There are around 3,000 different species of snake in the world. Even they have a unique anatomy which allows them to swallow and digest large prey. As I said, that they have large head. They have not a large head, but they have flexible jaws. And they are covered in scales. They are smooth. Their skin is smooth and dry. And snakes shed their skin a number of times per year in a process that usually lasts for a few days. Even snakes smell with their tongue because they don't have nose. Even the pythons, they kill their prey by tightly wrapping around it and suffocating it in a process called constriction. They will constrict their prey and they wrap it around and they kill their prey. This is about pythons. You might have heard about anacondas. The anacondas are large non-venomous snake. Anacondas, they are the large non-venomous snake. They are found in South America that can reach over 5 meters in length. So how large they are. There are some sea snakes also. They can breathe partially through their skin, allowing for longer dives underwater. Even there is the python, which reticulates. Python reticulates can grow over 8.7 meters in length, and they are considered the longest snakes in the world. So these are some of the facts about snakes. Now let us get back to our topic. Let us learn about one more topic, that is movement in birds. A very interesting topic about birds. Now, as we know that most birds are capable of flying. Birds can also walk, they can run or hop on the ground. There are some birds such as swans and ducks, they can even swim in water. Yes, definitely they cannot fly like other birds, like the general ones, but they can swim in water and they are considered as birds. So basically, it's important to understand the gliding flight before we begin to talk about flapping wings about birds. Right? Recall that the wings are angled slightly, which allows them to deflect the air downward and produce the lift. The slight angle of the wings is actually the angle with which they can fly. And if this angle of flying is too small, the wing won't produce enough lift, so they cannot fly very high. So the best angle depends upon the shape of the wing which all the birds have. Different birds have different types of wings. So it's usually just a few degrees, the best angle which can make the birds fly higher and higher. So what matters is the angle of the bird to the direction of travel, and this is what makes it fly. This is what makes it movement. Even the wings flap with an up and down motion. This may change in special situations, but we are going to talk about it later. When the wings move up and down, they are also moving forward through the air along with the rest of the bird. And close to the body there is a very little up and down movement. So farther out toward the wingtips there is much more vertical motion of the bird. Right? So let us see the features of the bird which help them to fly. Yes, the following features help birds to fly. Like, birds have streamlined bodies which makes it easier for them to move through air. Now here you can see the wings of the bird. As the bird is flapping along, it needs to make sure that it has correct angle of attack all along its wingspan. Since the outer part of the wing moves up and down more steeply than the inner part, the wing has to twist so that each part of the wing can maintain just the right angle of attack. So what will happen? That it will be able to fly. So the wings of these birds are flexible, so they twist automatically. And this shows that the wing must twist in some direction to keep each part of the wing aligned with the local direction of the travel. So as the wing twists and as the outer part of the wing moves downward, the lift force in the outer part of the wing is angled forward. And this is what we are going to discuss in next slides. So this is what would happen if the whole bird went into a steep dive. However, only the wing is moving downward, not the whole bird. Therefore, the bird can generate a large amount of forward force or thrust without any loss of altitude. And that is why it is able to produce a lift and it is able to maintain the correct angle for the strokes, which we are going to discuss, the upstroke and downstroke. So the air is not only deflected downward but also to the rear one. The air is forced backward just as it would be like in an aeroplane. And if thrust is produced in the stroke, in the downstroke, then what happens in the upstroke? Since the wing is traveling upward, shouldn't there be a lot of drag? Yes, there is a lot of drag which tends to slow down the bird. The outer part of the wing points straight along its line of travel so it can pass through the air and the least possible resistance. And the bird partially folds its wings, which reduces the wingspan, and it eliminates the outer part of the wing, which is not so much necessary though, but in most insects this ability or this capability is lacking, and that is why the birds are able to fly higher as compared to other insects. Second thing about birds is that their bones are hollow, which makes them lightweight, and they have wings which have special feathers for helping in flight. Even they have the powerful chest muscles which help them in flapping their wings during flight. So here is which produces the up and down movement and which helps them in flapping their wings during flight. The other thing about the birds are their wings. Their wings are moved down and forwards. Now here you can observe the movement of the bird. This is the movement which shows the downstroke. Downstroke means what? The wings are moved down. Now here you can see that first the movement was, the wings were upwards, and after that it came somewhat down, then somewhat more down, and then totally down, right? So this is basically, this movement is termed as downstroke. So what happens that the inner part of the wing is very different. There is little up and down movement there, so that the part of the wing continues to provide lift and function more or less as it would when gliding. And because only the inner part of the wing produces lift in the upstroke we will discuss it just after this slide. The upstroke as a whole offers lift less than the downstroke. Means what happens that the wings are lifted upwards in preparation for another downstroke, and this is termed as upstroke. So here is this was the last movement or movement of the bird. This is downstroke, and after that they try to flap their wing. They try to lift their wings upwards And finally, this movement is termed as the upstroke. This movement, this whole, is known as upstroke. So what happens that because the inner part of the wing produces lift in the upstroke as a whole prefers less lift than the downstroke, and as a result the bird's body will bob up and down slightly as the bird flies. So this is how the movement takes place. So this is the wing movement which provides lift and which is needed to overcome drag and to gain speed in the sky. The bird's wing movement might be compared to a swimmer's doing the butterfly stroke. Have you ever seen or have you ever saw a swimmer doing the butterfly stroke? Yes, a swimmer's arms rotate around his shoulder joint as he throws them forward through the air. It moves forward through the air and then pulls them back through the water. And flight, however, is more complex, involving the rotation of the wing and the movements of various parts of it. So the faster the birds travel, the more lift will come from the air passing around the wings. So with most larger birds, the increased wingspan is still not large enough to cope with their extra weight, and therefore the birds like ostrich and emus are not able to fly so high. Even others like vultures, they land on a tree or fence, and then by jumping off they gain enough speed through a pull of gravity for their wings to provide lift. Even the heaviest bird that can fly, and you will be very amazed to know about it, the heaviest bird. Now you might be thinking that the heaviest bird would be ostrich or emu, which cannot fly, but the heaviest bird is trumpeter swan. Even this bird can fly, which is weighing up to 40 pounds, that is 18 kilograms. So the heavy birds are limited in amount of flapping they can do because of the strenuous effort involved in flapping their wings and flying high in the sky. However, this does not restrict their ability to fly, for they are the masters of another form of flight. So this is the trumpeter's swan, which is the heaviest bird, and it can also fly. How amazing it is, right? So that was all about the movement in snakes and movement in birds. I hope you enjoyed today's session. We will meet in the next session and we will learn more about movement. But we are done with the animals. In the next session we will continue with the movement in human beings. So be ready for it. Till then, keep enjoying.